had no choice but to respond.
And by the way, he invited me to China and I invited him here. We both accepted. So I'll be going there with the First Lady at a certain point. And
Donald Trump says trade talks with China remain on track and are in good shape as he holds a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Says he is expected to go to China.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says he is extremely satisfied with his meeting with US President Donald Trump as the two men agreed to strengthen cooperation on trade matters and other issues.
Israeli airstrikes hit Beirut's southern suburbs after the military said it would target underground Hezbollah drone factories. Lebanon's leaders accused Israel of a flagrant ceasefire violation by launching the strikes.
Hamas-led negotiator says the group is ready to enter new rounds of talk to reach a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, where rescuers say Israeli strikes killed at least 37 people on Thursday.
India issues NOTAM for major Indian Air Force exercise along southern Indo-Pak border. Scheduled for the 7th to the 8th of June. Exercise set to take place in Rajasthan near international border and it's part of operational readiness drills.
Karnataka CM Siddaramaiah suspends Bengaluru police commissioner in connection with stampede outside Chinnaswamy Stadium that killed 11 people. Orders arrest of RCB team representatives after an FIR was registered.
Now, tensions between US President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk seem to have reached a breaking point.
Now this with the former allies tearing into each other very publicly. The flameout peaked as Musk dropped what he called a real bombshell. In a post on social media platform X, Musk exclaimed, "Trump is in the Epstein files, which is why the details and findings of the investigations have not been made public." Well, he suggested X users mark the post for the future, adding the truth will come out.
Now, the bromance imploded on Thursday after Trump was asked during a White House meeting with Germany's new Chancellor Friedrich Merz about Musk's criticism of his spending bill. Trump had largely remained silent on the issue but hit back in the Oval Office address, saying he was very disappointed in Musk.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair.
Now, the Tesla and SpaceX boss replied with a series of rapid-fire posts. Musk branded Trump's claim false before doubling down on the sensitive issue of Trump's election win.
Now, he called out the ingratitude, saying without him, Trump would have lost the election. Democrats would control the House and Republicans would have a 51-49 say in the Senate.
And he went on to post a poll on whether he should form a new political party, one that actually represents the 80% middle class. Now, in just 6 hours, it got over 3 million votes, with 81% in favor.
The public feud comes after Musk last week officially left his government post, where he was tasked with rooting out excessive spending through Doge. Trump claimed that he was the one to ask Musk to leave, and took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electrics, and that made him go crazy.
Well, as the spat escalated, Trump doubled down by threatening Musk's massive government contracts, including for launching rockets and for the use of Starlink satellite service. US media have put the value of the contract at $18 billion. The US president said the easiest way to save money in budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Musk's government subsidies and contracts.
Musk was quick to reply. He urged Trump to go ahead with the plan. And hours later, Musk announced that SpaceX would begin decommissioning the spacecraft it used to carry astronauts and cargo to the International Space Station for NASA.
And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Take a look.
The long-simmering feud between President Donald Trump and Elon Musk has exploded into public view, ending one of the most influential alliances in American politics. Well, for now at least. It started when Elon Musk blasted Trump's massive new tax and spending bill, calling it a disaster for innovation and a hit job on companies like Tesla. Donald Trump, for a while, held his tongue but started hitting back. By Thursday afternoon, the fallout was immediate. Tesla stocks tanked, losing billions in values. But beyond the market reaction, this split marks a turning point. Musk, once a tech ally to Trump, is now a high-profile critic. And the clash reveals growing tensions between Trump's populist agenda and Silicon Valley's power players. Will they put a lid on all of this, or is this just the start of a bigger feud? We'll have to wait and see. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Well, let's shift our focus to West Asia, where Israel claims it has struck several parts of Lebanon's capital, Beirut, targeting drone factories of the militant group Hezbollah.
Reports suggest that nearly a dozen strikes have been carried out by the IDF, with two of them being very violent. In a statement, the Israeli Defense Forces said it struck terror targets of Hezbollah's aerial unit. Prior to the assault, the IDF issued evacuation orders to residents living near Hezbollah's drone factories.
Well, the Israeli military also added that it would attack the militant group's UAV production facilities deliberately established in civilian areas in Beirut.
Following the IDF's attacks, the United Nations Special Coordinator for Lebanon called for a halt on any new action that could further undermine the cessation of hostilities. She also called for diplomatic measures to address disputes or threats.
Furthermore, Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun slammed the Israeli attacks, saying that the aggression from the IDF is a flagrant violation of the November 27 ceasefire.
Similarly, Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam also issued his condemnation, saying that the strikes by Israel are a violation of Lebanon's sovereignty and the 2006 UN resolution. And in a stunning allegation, Israel's former defense minister Avigdor Lieberman has accused Netanyahu government of arming a jihadist militia in the Gaza Strip affiliated with the ISIS.
Well, speaking to a local radio channel, Lieberman claimed that Netanyahu is supporting the group as a counterbalance to Hamas. Previously, he had accused Netanyahu of propping up Hamas to weaken the Palestinian Authority.
Netanyahu's office has responded sharply, stating that Israel, and I'm quoting here, is working to defeat Hamas in various ways on the recommendation of all heads of the security establishment.
Now, the group in question is reportedly linked to a man known as Yasser Abu Shabab, whose militia has recently surfaced in southern Gaza. Now, Abu Shabab and his fighters have been accused of looting humanitarian aid during last year's crisis.
Lieberman described the militia as lawless criminals who have recently embraced Salafi jihadist ideology and begun aligning themselves with the ISIS. The explosive claims raise serious questions about Israel's strategy in Gaza and the long-term consequences of arming. Now, just days after Ukrainian drone attacks hit bomber fleets and border regions, a chilling echo from the Cold War crackled to life.
Well, Moscow's top secret doomsday radio has suddenly gone active, transmitting bizarre coded messages. In military circles, this isn't just noise, it's a signal and it may be a warning.
Russia is a very secretive country. The veil of secrecy, a legacy of the Soviet era, hides many secretive truths. Right now, tensions are peaking. Moscow is readying for an unprecedented assault on its neighbor. For the audacious Operation Spiderweb, a fleet of Russia's prized nuclear bombers reduced to rubble. Now, a chilling echo from the Cold War crackles to life. The Russian radio station UVB-76 is broadcasting new coded messages. Such activity is unusual. The system was silent for months. Usually, the radio is emitting its signature buzz. It only speaks when something big is brewing. This week, it spoke, loud and clear, with dozens of cryptic codes in a single day. Right after the Istanbul peace talks collapsed, right after Ukraine struck deep inside Russia, right after Putin hinted there will be no talks with terrorists. No one outside the Kremlin truly knows what UVB-76 is for. But military analysts believe it's tied to Russia's nuclear or retaliatory command systems. Possibly the legendary dead hand system designed to ensure a massive strike even if Moscow's command and control systems are destroyed. While other experts believe UVB-76 broadcast codes are to alert or test hidden units. A signal that sleeper units or secondary systems should prepare. This isn't science fiction, it's Cold War reality reactivated. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And multiple explosions have rocked Ukraine's Kharkiv overnight as Russia attacked the city with several drones.
Now, the footage that you see on your screen right now, it was released by Kharkiv mayor. It shows the moment of a Russian attack on the northeastern city. 18 people, including 4 children, were injured in the attacks.
Well, this as US President Donald Trump on Thursday said that it might be better to let them fight for a while when asked about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, he drew a striking analogy between the war and a playground brawl as he hosted newly elected German Chancellor Friedrich Merz at the White House.
Sometimes, and this is me speaking maybe in a negative sense, but sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart.
However, in a statement later, the US president said that he had asked his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to not retaliate after Ukraine's drone attack on its bases. Speaking to reporters, Trump said that he told Putin that he should not do it, to which Putin said he had no choice but to respond.
The former Russian president and top security official Dmitry Medvedev has said that Moscow has no interest in compromise. Medvedev said that the purpose of the Istanbul talks was not to strike a peace deal on what he called delusional terms, but to secure swift victory and ensure the complete destruction of the neo-Nazi regime in Kiev.
On Telegram, Medvedev, who is the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, hinted at retaliation for recent Ukrainian strikes on Russian bomber bases, declaring that retribution is inevitable. He stressed everything that needs to be blown up will be blown up, and those who must be eliminated will be eliminated. Moving on then, NATO is flexing its military muscle on land, air and at sea.
A massive 2-week naval exercise is kicked off in the strategically crucial Baltic Sea, with ships setting sail from the German port of Rostock this morning.
Now, among them are Germany's corvette Magdeburg and France's minesweeper Vulcan. The drill, dubbed Baltopsis, is led by US and brings together a powerful force, 50 warships, 25 aircraft and over 9,000 troops from 17 countries. The message NATO is trying to send is clear. Its presence in the region is strong and unified, especially with Russia continuing its war against Ukraine.
Moscow has called it a provocation, even as its own fleets conduct drill in the same waters. Meanwhile, on land and air, the final phase of NATO's Immediate Response 25 is underway in northeastern Greece. The high-intensity live-fire exercise near Xanthi city, featuring AH-64 Apache helicopters and Leopard 2 main battle tanks in action.
More than 2,500 troops from the NATO, US NATO allies and regional partners joined this phase, while the wider drills span 8 countries and involves over 12,000 personnel.
The world can be a dangerous place, but when we're working together in exercises like Immediate Response 25, we become better because we know each other, we know each other's equipment, we know how it operates, and we learn together to make things better.
From Bulgaria to North Macedonia, forces are training in everything from rapid deployments and river crossings to cyber defense and combined operations. As tensions in Europe persist, NATO sends a resounding signal of readiness and unity, showcasing the alliance's readiness and interoperability.
US President Donald Trump recently reignited the debate over the alliance's commitments, warning that countries falling behind on the defense spending may not be guaranteed American protection.
And in a significant development on the US-China relations, US President Donald Trump called on Chinese President Xi Jinping.
These talks come amid rising trade tensions between both the countries. Posting on Truth Social, the president said that the call of nearly 1.5 hours focused almost entirely on trade, with no discussion on Russia, Ukraine or Iran.
Well, Trump claimed that both sides addressed key trade issues, including the complexity of rare earth products, and confirmed trade teams from both countries will meet shortly at a location yet to be determined. The Chinese president told Trump the two should correct the course of bilateral relations. Now, according to the Chinese state media, Xi also told Trump that US must handle Taiwan with caution to avoid conflict.
In the trade talks with China, the United States will be represented by Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Jameson Greer.
Chinese President Xi has also extended a formal invitation to Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump to visit China. Now, both leaders expressed optimism about meeting in person in the near future.
Now, the world's leading terror haven, Pakistan, is now chairing the UN Taliban Sanctions Committee.
The very same Pakistan that sheltered Osama bin Laden and harbors dozens of UN-designated terrorists. Now, WION Susan Tehrani tracks the story from United Nations headquarters in New York. Take a look.
Pakistan, the known haven for UN-sanctioned terrorists, will chair the Taliban Sanctions Committee of the United Nations Security Council for 2025. It will also serve as vice chair of the UN Security Council Counterterrorism Committee. An unmissable irony, where a country that harbors and nurtures terrorists is being trusted to oversee sanctions on the Taliban and anti-terror discussions. Pakistan hosts the world's largest number of UN-prescribed terrorists and entities, turning their soil into a breeding ground for global violence. Hafiz Saeed, co-founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba, was designated by the UN Security Council in 2008, Yet he continues to operate freely from Pakistani territory for years. Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi, senior Lashkar commander, received UN Security Council sanctions in 2008 but continued his terror operations under Pakistani protection. Abdul Rahman Makki, Lashkar's deputy chief, has been sanctioned since 2003, while Masood Azhar, founder of Jaish-e-Mohammed, finally faced UN Security Council sanctions in 2019 after years of being shielded by Pakistan. Pakistan seeks terror validation based on UN Security Council appointment. Pakistan Prime Minister shares his glee hiding behind UN Security Council appointment, which is in fact a rotational thing. The ultimate proof of Pakistan's terror complacency is of course Abbottabad, where Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden lived in comfort for years, just miles from Pakistan's premier military academy. U.S. Navy SEALs eliminated the world's most wanted terrorist in May 2011, exposing Pakistan's role as a safe haven for terror.
In a move that's raising eyebrows by some, Pakistan now chairs the UN Security Council's Taliban Sanctions Committee for the year 2025, the same Pakistan that has long been accused by regional powers and independent watchdogs of harboring Taliban elements within its borders. Now it's in charge of enforcing sanctions on them. Islamabad will also serve as vice chair of the UN's Counterterrorism Committee, placing it at the center of key global security decisions at a time when its own record is under intense scrutiny. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
All right, and moving on, South Korea has elected a new government after a month-long political instability after former President Yoon Suk-yeol's failed martial law bid.
Lee Jae-myung has taken over presidency, but now he faces an uphill task, steering through the challenges of Trump's tariff onslaught. Among all the other countries, the US president has imposed 10% baseline tariffs on South Korea. This is bound to increase from the 9th of June. As the deadline nears, all eyes are on the newly elected Lee Jae-myung government. He must reach a deal with Washington before this deadline to avoid 25% tariffs. How Lee deals with one of the first challenges of his presidency could determine the fate of South Korean businesses who are betting big on the United States.
Well, one industry that will be watching Lee's move closely is South Korea's beauty industry. In the last 2 years, South Korea's top 5 beauty brands have seen a whopping 71% annual increase in online sales. They are giving a hard time to even the strong players from countries like France. Now, this growth can face a roadblock if Lee fails to strike a deal before US moves ahead with the tariff increase.
And with that, it's time now for a short break.
But don't go anywhere. On the other side of World DNA, India has issued a notice to Airmen Notum for a major Indian Air Force exercise scheduled to take place from June 7th to June 8th. We're going to get you all the details on that on the other side of the show.
Also on the other side, the Karnataka government has suspended several officials, including the Commissioner of Bengaluru Police. This after a stampede outside Chinnaswamy Stadium killed at least 11 people.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
As Thug Life hits the big screen, meet superstar Kamal Hassan and filmmaker Mani Ratnam. Find out why cinema is losing its theatre-going crowd.
My name is Julius. I am the real Jolly.
Know all about Houseful 5 and understand the craze of Labubu dolls. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
We're giving an AI-generated video where we can analyze your credit history, your credit score.
It's all about now content. A lot of it is now digital. A lot of TV content is still being watched.
I think it's been a fantastic journey. We have succeeded in some of our original goals, which was to bring credit accessibility to both companies and individuals.
Key milestones of traction under your leadership.
Getting actually a personal check from Mr. Ratan Tata, we got an opportunity to get listed.
One of the biggest things that has changed in Razorpay over the last 5-6 years I've been is to be a single product, single business company to a multi-product, multi-business company.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Welcome back to World DNA. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lots lined up for you on this side of the show as well. Let's get started with the headlines first.
Multiple explosions rock Ukraine's Kharkiv as Russia attacked the city with several drones. Kharkiv mayor says 18 people, including 4 children, were injured as Russian drones directly hit apartment buildings.
The United States calls for an end to North Korea's cooperation with Russia after leader Kim Jong-un vowed unconditional support to Moscow in the Ukraine war and that said that he expected Moscow to emerge victorious.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk's alliance melts down in a blazing public row, with the US president saying he was very disappointed in his former aide. Musk hit back, saying that Trump would have not won elections without him.
Trump-Musk feud puts $22 billion in SpaceX contracts at risk, threatening key US space programs as Musk vows to decommission the Dragon spacecraft amid the political fallout.
And by the way, he invited me to China and I invited him here. We both accepted. So I'll be going there with the First Lady at a certain point. And
Donald Trump says trade talks with China remain on track and are in good shape as he holds phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Says he's expected to go to China.
very good man to deal with. He's difficult, I would say. Can I say that? It's a positive.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't want me to say you're easy, right?
No.
Yeah, he's a very great representative of Germany. I think all we want is just going to have a good relationship. A great representative of Germany. I think.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says he's extremely satisfied with his meeting with the US President Donald Trump as the two men agreed to strengthen cooperation on trade matters and other issues.
Israeli airstrikes hit Beirut's southern suburbs after the military said it would target underground Hezbollah drone factories. Lebanon's leaders accuse Israel of a flagrant ceasefire violation by launching strikes.
Hamas lead negotiator says the group is ready to end a new round of talks to reach a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, where rescuers say Israeli strikes killed at least 37 people on Thursday.
Teenager Yamin Lamar inspires Spain to a thrilling 5-4 win over France in the Nations League. They will now face Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal for the title.
Now, the Karnataka government has suspended several officials, including the Commissioner of Bengaluru Police.
Well, this after a stampede outside Chinnaswamy Stadium killed at least 11 people and injured several more amid celebrations of RCB's maiden IPL title.
Around 250,000 people had gathered outside the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium to celebrate the RCB's maiden IPL title. The situation soon got out of hand and led to a stampede outside the stadium. An FIR has been filed by the Bengaluru police at Kubon Park Police Station. It cites criminal negligence and has been filed against the RCB franchise, DNA Entertainment Networks, who is the event manager, as well as the Karnataka State Cricket Association.
Well, several senior police officials have been suspended by the Karnataka government, including Bengaluru Police Commissioner B. Dayanand. The Karnataka government has also appointed a one-man commission for the probe. Former High Court Judge Michael Kunha will investigate the incident.
Earlier in the day, the High Court also took suo motu cognizance of the incident and heard the matter. The government has been issued a notice and has been told to formulate new SOPs for the mega events such as this. The Attorney General of Karnataka told the bench that the police were overwhelmed by the crowd and the deaths occurred near the gate. Karnataka government has also ordered a magisterial inquiry into the matter, and the case will be heard again on the 10th of June.
Now, Royal Challengers Bengaluru have announced a 10 lakh rupee compensation for the victims. The franchise has also launched a fund called RCB Cares to support those who have been injured.
India cricket head coach Gautam Gambhir has reacted to the incident for the first time, saying that such celebrations should not be held in the first place.
I was never a believer that we need to have road shows. Never. When I was playing, I had the same statement to make even after winning 2007 that we should not have road shows. I think life of the people are far more important, and I will continue to say that even in future I think we can be a little bit aware of not holding these kind of road shows and can probably have it in a closed door or something like in a stadium. And it is very tragic what happened yesterday, and my heart goes to the family of people who've lost their loved ones. And I hope in future nothing like this can happen, because I think we all are responsible and we all are responsible citizens and we should take care of all this.
All right, and staying on the story, the Karnataka government has suspended several senior officials, including Bengaluru City Police Commissioner B. Dayanand. And now this after a stampede outside Chinnaswamy Stadium that killed at least 11 people and injured several more amid celebrations of RCB's maiden IPL title.
June 4th, 2025 will go as one of the darkest days in Bengaluru's history. Here's a report on what actually transpired. Take a look.
11 lives gone in a matter of seconds. This is Manoj, a young life full of promise, but he has been lost. And this is his family, broken, numb and inconsolable. They are burying their 19-year-old son, a boy who was just a day ago bursting with joy. His beloved Royal Challengers Bengaluru had finally won the IPL title. And the team were coming home to Namma Bengaluru to celebrate with Manoj and thousands just like him. RCB and Virat Kohli are revered in Bengaluru and have a very loyal and unwavering fan base. After 17 years of waiting, this was their moment, their maiden title. Over 200,000 gathered outside M. Chinnaswamy Stadium. A sea of red, united by love, pride and RCB. But then, chaos, panic, tragedy. Manoj came to celebrate, but he never made it home. His last breath, crushed under the weight of a crowd that could not breathe either. Not just him, 10 others lost their lives. Passionate RCB fans, just like Manoj. The day that should have felt like a festival turned into a funeral.
I'm standing in front of Bowring Hospital in Bengaluru, where 7 mortal remains of yesterday's 11 deceased were kept here. RCB, while they were celebrating their maiden victory after 18 years of winning IPL trophy, there were 11 people who lost their lives, and also around 50 people were injured in the stampede which happened yesterday. So overall, there were high committee meetings of the mishap, and also government has ordered a judicial inquiry for the mishap which happened yesterday.
The Karnataka High Court has taken suo motu cognizance. Kohli, RCB and millions have offered condolences. But will that ease a mother's wails? Is the life of a common fan so cheap? Cricket may be a religion in India, but for families like Manoj's, the sport will never be the same again. Sports Bureau, WION, World is One.
Now, India has issued a notice to airmen in no time for a major Indian Air Force exercise along the southern India-Pakistan border.
Well, the exercise, which is scheduled to take place from June 7th to June 8th, will be held in Rajasthan near the international border. Now, this is part of the Indian Air Force's regular operational readiness drills.
According to the notice, airspace restrictions will be in place from the 7th of June, 3:30 p.m. to the 8th of June, 9:30 p.m. to facilitate the exercise. The development occurs amid heightened tensions between the two nuclear-armed neighbors.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has lamented about not getting credit for brokering peace between India and Pakistan, as conflict escalated last month between the two countries.
Meanwhile, Trump has repeatedly asserted his role in preventing a potential nuclear conflict. India has categorically denied Trump's claims, saying that the ceasefire was facilitated by a call between the Directors General of Military Operations of both countries. India has maintained that no third-party mediation was involved in the truce.
Furthermore, India's all-party parliamentary delegation led by Congress leader Shashi Tharoor on Thursday met US Vice President J.D. Vance in Washington, briefing him about Operation Sindoor. Tharoor called it an excellent meeting with constructive and productive exchange for strengthening India-US strategic partnership.
Now, according to the Embassy of India in the United States, the conversation focused on cooperation in counter-terrorism domain as well.
Remember, J.D. Vance and his family were in India when terror attack took place in Pahalgam on April 22nd. He had strongly condemned the incident, describing it as devastating and horrific.
Another all-party parliamentary delegation led by BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad also arrived in Berlin, where Ambassador Ajit Gupta welcomed the 9-member delegation, which will convey India's united and resolute stance against terrorism.
Another news, a dramatic rift is unfolding between the world's richest man and the president of the world's most powerful nation.
Elon Musk and Donald Trump, once close political allies, are now locked in a very public and increasingly personal feud.
Well, the fallout began when Musk's sharp criticism of Trump's sweeping tax cut and spending bill. It has deepened after Trump suggested Musk's federal contracts should be cancelled. In a rapid response, Musk announced the immediate decommissioning of SpaceX Dragon spacecraft.
Now, just days ago, Musk was Trump's cost-cutting czar, heading the Department of Government Efficiency. But after exiting with far less savings than promised, Musk has pivoted sharply.
On his X platform, Musk took an aim at the president's priorities, posting "Slim, beautiful bill for the win." He followed with calls to remove a mountain of disgusting pork from the legislation.
Trump, meanwhile, said that Musk missed being in the White House and accused him of souring due to the proposed removal of the EV tax credit. Take a look.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate.
In the meantime, Tesla shares dropped 9%, hitting their lowest level in months. Analysts say the clash could also jeopardize billions in federal contracts for SpaceX and Starlink. Musk has since declared that he will halt all political donations after spending nearly $300 million backing Trump.
Inside the GOP, his exit is also fueling a divide between pro-business donors and fiscal conservatives who also oppose the bill's impact. What began as a policy disagreement has now morphed into a power struggle between a billionaire CEO and a president fighting its own battles, with tariffs unresolved, wars and Jerome Powell, of course. And as the long-simmering dispute between Elon Musk and Trump escalated into a public verbal brawl, the stock price of Tesla plummeted.
The social media barbs hit Musk's personal wealth. Well, Musk's personal net worth was wiped out by $34 billion by the end of Thursday. Now, that is the second biggest loss in the history of the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. The other significant one was Musk's wealth crash previously in November 2021. Musk has endured significant wealth losses in the past, but he still remains the wealthiest person in the world with a fortune of $334.5 billion.
However, Trump's threat to terminate Musk's federal contracts raised the stakes to an all-time high. This could potentially be a devastating financial blow to Tesla as well as SpaceX. According to Bloomberg data, the total revenue for SpaceX and Tesla from federal unclassified contracts since fiscal year 2000 is $22.5 billion.
Well, Tesla shares crashed to extend earlier losses after Trump floated ending Musk's federal relationships. Thursday's 14% loss was the most for Tesla stock since March 10th. The EV maker's market value was slashed by about $150 billion due to the rout. The stock price dropped 2.2% more after the markets closed.
The back and forth was expected for a president who has shamed international leaders from the Oval Office and a billionaire who has a knack for jumping from one campaign to another. What set everything off was Musk's abrupt request for enough backing to kill Trump's trademark Big Beautiful Bill, just after he left the White House.
Separately, Musk has been lobbying Republican members, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, to keep the bill's lucrative electric vehicle tax incentives.
According to JP Morgan, a separate legislation passed by the Senate attacking California's EV sales mandates poses a $2 billion risk for Tesla. Such actions pose a risk to over half of the almost $6 billion in pre-tax profits that Wall Street anticipates Tesla to report this year.
Musk said that Trump couldn't have won the election without his money. Such ingratitude, Musk posted, citing his financial support for Republicans during the 2024 election. He said, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Democrats would control the House and the Republicans would be 51 to 49 in the Senate."
Now, Musk floated the idea of creating a new political party that actually represents the 80% in the middle class. It also put Republican politicians in an uncomfortable position of having to pick a side. With elections due next year, Musk remains a major financial supporter of the party.
Hold on to everything you thought you knew about the cosmos. The story we have been told about the universe's genesis might be a cosmic fabrication.
And to that end, a new theory dares to question the ultimate origin, suggesting that the Big Bang wasn't the starting point, but a mere echo in an infinitely grand cycle. Take a look.
The Big Bang the explosive origin of time and space may not be the beginning after all. For nearly a century, the Big Bang has stood as the ultimate origin story, the fiery moment from which all space, time, and matter exploded into being. Now, a team of physicists argue that the Big Bang wasn't the beginning, but a transition, like waking up from a long sleep into another cycle of a far older universe. This bombshell theory, recently detailed in Physical Review Journal, proposes a bouncing cosmology, where the universe didn't explode from nothing, but rather rebounded from a previous phase of contraction. Imagine the universe collapsing inward over billions of years, and then bouncing back into expansion. This idea is more than poetic, it's mathematical. The study builds on new equations in loop quantum gravity, a field that aims to bridge the laws of quantum mechanics and general relativity. So maybe we weren't born from a one-time bang, but from a repeating beat of crunch and expansion, a universe that inhales and exhales forever. The Big Bang wasn't the beginning, it was the bounce before the next breath. This isn't just a tweak to our understanding, it's a fundamental shift in perspective.
And Tom Cruise has once again stunned the world, earning a Guinness World Record for the most burning parachute jumps by an individual.
The 62-year-old actor achieved this astounding feat, a remarkable 16 times during the filming of his latest blockbuster, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Now, the death-defying stunt captured in the mountains of South Africa saw Cruise leap from a helicopter at an altitude of at least 7,500 feet. Each time his parachute, which was pre-soaked in aviation fuel, was deliberately ignited mid-air. Crucially, the actor then had merely a few seconds to cut away the flaming remains of the primary chute and deploy a backup, all whilst plummeting earthwards. Guinness World Record lauded the actor's unparalleled dedication.
This new accolade adds to Cruise's impressive list of records, which includes the actor with the most consecutive $100 million grossing movies. The sheer commitment to practical stunts, which is a hallmark of the Mission Impossible franchise, continues to set Cruise apart. Fans can now witness this breathtaking sequence in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which has cemented Cruise's legacy as one of cinema's most fearless performers. From Christian Dior to Gianfranco Ferré and Maria Grazia Chiuri, Dior's legacy is one of the utmost beauty and refinement.
Now, UBS House of Craft has partnered with the Atelier to connect the designs of all 7 creative directors in a single never-seen-before show. Here's more.
what is unique in this exhibition is that it's the first time, and because we had this opportunity to work on all of them together in the same moment.
So really simply, the word craft really is our bridge. So the word craft, what does it mean? It means dedication, it means expertise, it means passion.
We want something new, we want to be exciting. Excitement is very important in fashion. So a new designer, new excitement, and I hope the savoir-faire will be there too.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of World DNA.
But before we take a leave, let's take a look at all the climate stories making headlines across the globe.
We're giving an AI-generated video where we can analyze your credit history, your credit score.
It's all about now content. A lot of it is now digital. A lot of TV content is still being watched.
I think it's been a fantastic journey. We have succeeded in some of our original goals, which was to bring credit accessibility to both companies and individuals.
Key milestones of traction under your leadership.
Getting actually a personal check from Mr. Ratan Tata, we got an opportunity to get listed.
One of the biggest things that has changed in Razorpay over the last 5-6 years is to be a single product, single business company to a multi-product, multi-business company.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, world is one.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, world is one.